What's happening, guys? This is Logan Robinson from Heather Spear, presented to you by NoleGameday.com. We're here live on a wonderful, fantastic Wednesday evening, and the Florida State bye week is over. The second half of the season begins, and man, do Mike Norvell and this Florida State team need to bounce back in a major way. The Seminoles will face off against Wake Forest this upcoming Saturday night. At the end of this episode, we will give our preview and score predictions to that. We're also going to give you an update on Tommy Castellanos. Also, we're going to discuss the chatter of James Franklin potentially going over there to Virginia Tech, but is FSU going to have some big regrets on not making an earlier move with Mike Norvell? We'll discuss that, and then we're going to talk about a former Nole, a Super Bowl champion, being very, very transparent on his thoughts about the current state of the Florida State football program and Mike Norvell. And we're going to give our sleeper picks as well for Thursday night football. With me this evening is Dustin Lewis, our editor-in-chief at NoleGameday.com. And all the way to the other side is Austin Veazey. Gentlemen, we're back. The bye week is over. And like I said earlier, Florida State has got to get a win for the first time in the ACC since a long time ago. It needs to happen this Saturday.
A long time ago, over 400 days. I can't remember the exact count. Austin might have it off the top of his head. I think it might be 406 by the time we get to Saturday. It's in there. Yeah, it's been obviously a rough last month for Florida State, and coming out of the bye week, I mean, you're hitting this final stretch of the season. FSU needs to go at least 3-2 in these final games to have any chance of qualifying for a bowl game. And I think, obviously if that's going to happen, it needs to start this weekend with a victory against Wake Forest. So we will see if they can finally snap that losing streak. It's been a long time.
CSU, it's 403 days since that Cal win last year. So I guess it would be 406 by Saturday.
I nailed it.
You did nail that. Listen, all that concerns me is that from a week from now, we'll have our first FSU basketball game. That's all that matters to me. We're at that point of the year, and I'm super excited for that. The football team be damned at this point. Yeah, it's basketball season. I don't care.
Look what you've done, Mike Veazey, man. You made a pull away from football just like that, man. How dare you? How dare you?
No, the shame. It's not like I haven't done this for the last 8 years.
Well, when we talk about 400 plus days of not getting an ACC win, God, woo-hoo-hoo, my goodness gracious, what a great way to start an episode here on Here's Spear. If you're with us right now, smack that like button. If you hate that stat, hit the like button. Also, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We definitely appreciate it on our end. We've got a handful of things to discuss. Let's start off first with Mike Norvell and his comments about Tommy Castellanos today. We heard from him earlier this week on Monday, and we talked about it on our episode, D-Lou, trending in that right direction. He had practice later in the week. Things were looking good, and sure enough, it does seem like we will see Tommy Castellanos out there on Saturday night, barring a setback. Here's what Mike had to say. He said, "I'm feeling very confident in where it's trending. He's handled the things he's been asked to do very well." And as we know, Tommy took that nasty shot in Stanford, man. And it's crazy. He was able to get up and walk off that field. And now it's trending where you will see QB1 back out there. And I will ask you guys this, and I'm seeing this all over social media, so this is why I'm going to bring it to y'all's attention. A lot of people pushing to see Kevin Sperry out there over having Tommy out there. Even if Tommy's fully healthy, they still want to see the true freshman quarterback out there. What's y'all's take on that, and is that the same case for you guys?
I don't think that should necessarily be the step for Florida State. If Tommy is healthy enough to play, I think he should be the starter at this point of the season and where things are at. The offense has still been performing pretty well, and the majority of these losses for Florida State, only 13 points on the board against Stanford, but you did outgain them by close to 150 yards or around that mark. And at least the last two games, Pittsburgh and Stanford, Tommy has cut back down on those turnover woes that we saw from Virginia and Miami and some of the games before that. So I still think he's been playing pretty good football for Florida State at the moment. Obviously not 100%. That leg injury ever since the Kent State game has really seemed to hamper him as far as that dual threat ability. But at the same time, I mean, he's still played quality football for FSU.
I think he's I think Tommy's far from Florida State's biggest issue. There's a lot bigger issues that they've got going on right now. I agree with Dustin. I think he's been playing at worst fine football, which is a lot better than we saw last year from Florida State. There's nothing that excites a fan base more than a quarterback we know nothing about. It doesn't matter if it's pros or college. There's nothing more exciting to a fan base than a quarterback who has no experience. I don't know what it is. The grass is not always greener with that next quarterback.
We saw it last year.
I was just about to say that. We saw that last year. Everyone was clamoring for Brock. He comes in, he's not that good. Then everyone's clamoring for Luke. Still not that good. And now he's the third string at Mississippi State. The grass isn't always greener with these next quarterbacks. So you kind of just have to stick with what's been working. And I think Tommy hasn't been the issue.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And like we were just alluding to last year, you put out some new quarterbacks and you tried everything you could with all of them, and things weren't so great. Yeah, you can allude to some other things, of course, with the offensive line, yada, yada, yada. But that was desperate measures from Florida State's side. I don't think Florida State's offense is in desperate measures. As we all know, what has been the leading factor for a lot of these losses has been on the defensive side of the ball. Yes, did not play well against Stanford offensively. We understand that. We know that. It sucked. It wasn't pretty, but that hadn't been the major issue for Florida State to end this season. And to rip away Tommy Castellanos, first off, they're not going to do that. They put a lot of resources into bringing Tommy Castellanos in for this season. Not going to just take him out and put, unless he's not fully healthy, then yeah, there's things where you don't feel like this offense can move because Tommy is being limited without utilizing his legs and the certain schemes that you want to run with him or drives, whatever that may be. Then yeah, maybe you put in Kevin Sperry, which, as we need to mention, is also too a true freshman. So you're going to have a lot of mistakes that come with that. But Tommy Castellanos has not been your biggest issue. And I know the takeaways, the interceptions, losing the ball, that stuff has what he has to clean up. But I do think the injury that he suffered against Kent State definitely limited him and limited Gus Malzahn's opportunity in the playbook to widen things there and go back to what was working earlier on in the season. And, we saw Tommy be able to connect with guys like Deuce Robinson. We saw it with Squirrel White early on. And, there was also a missed shot, too, in that Stanford game with Squirrel White. Like, there's things that he's got to clean up. There's things that you got to do, but I don't think that's the major issue. And I'll tell you what needs to be better is the run game. Florida State's got to get that run game going a little bit better and be on the ground more and take care of the ball better and get that inside run game going. But I don't think changing the quarterback here. I know everybody's very mad, as they should be. They should be mad. I think you should be more mad at what's at the head coaching position, your coordinators and such, and certainly you're adamant at this point over just making a quarterback change just to make it to where you'll probably still get pissed after. If they were to lose to Wake Forest, you'd still get mad.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's not a quarterback issue for Florida State. And I do think, obviously, Tommy getting banged up, that hasn't been helpful for the offense. Gus has talked about it. They've had to limit him some in practice and be really careful with him throughout the week to make sure he is available on game day. So, maybe they're not getting as much install time during practice with him not taking some of those reps. But that does mean Kevin Sperry is getting some of those reps. And obviously, with him stepping in after Tommy was injured in that Stanford game, it pretty much tells us that he's surpassed Brock Glenn on the depth chart as a true freshman. And it seems like he has a promising future. But going back to Austin's point, everyone's favorite player is the backup quarterback, especially when the starter is having some struggles at times. But we saw Kevin Sperry come into that game, and it was a tough moment. Trailing in the fourth quarter on the road, and he's asked to just go in there. But came out and had an intentional grounding penalty on one of those very first plays, turned it over on downs, did hit the big deep shot to Mackay, but that seemed like a prayer at the end of the day for Florida State. So I just think the grass isn't always greener. And Tommy Castellanos, he's a leader among this team for Florida State, and he's really established himself this season. And I think, like you said, Logan, if he cuts down on those turnover issues, we'd be a lot happier with his performance. But overall, you think back to what you were watching a year ago, Tommy Castellanos is a major upgrade over any quarterback Florida State's had over the last year.
That's not saying anything at all.
It's not saying much.
This isn't to say that Sperry's a bad quarterback. It's just we don't really know. I think he has a lot of potential. He's shown some moxie anytime he's gotten in the game this year. But you shouldn't want to rely on a 3-star true freshman to win you an ACC game when you have someone like Tommy Castellanos that has, for the most part, played well this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And here's Eddie from, Facebook saying, I think the team has tuned Tommy out. Let's see what happens. I
don't
I
think so.
don't believe that. I don't believe that to be the case. You can tell on the sideline and just things that we hear, and then too the way that he arrived in Tallahassee. His teammates have bought into Tommy Castellanos. I don't think that's the issue there. I think that's just kind of social media chatter, in my opinion. We haven't heard anything of that nature happening. Leadership-wise, Tommy is at the very top of that tier and still is going to be moving forward.
I agree. Yeah, there might be some discontent with the way the season is going and, the last 4 games, obviously, and obviously that can bleed over into the locker room and affect guys. But as far as the way players and coaches view Tommy as a leader on the team and within the locker room, I don't think that's changed at all.
And I mentioned it too. He had posted that. Y'all saw that Instagram story from him and, posting that with Mike Norvell. That was earlier this week. And just him and Mike in one of their meeting rooms. And I think that was a message sent to the rest of the roster, sent to the rest of the team. I'm going to ride with my head coach, and that's just how it's going to be. And if some of the players disagree, they can disagree. But I think Tommy's trying to, make sure that is still what the team is there for, and trying to set, as being an example of some sort. And, if he rides down with that ship, he rides down with that ship. But I would rather have a quarterback that, I know Mike is Mike and nobody is happy whatsoever with them at all. If you listen to this show, you know exactly our take on the current position that, Mike Norvell holds at Florida State. But I'd rather have my quarterback showing that example than being behind the scenes, being one of those people, talking behind his back and such. You ride with the ship, man. That's what you do. And we'll see. And tell you what, I know that he got dinged up in that game. The biggest thing that had limited Tommy was that lower leg injury that he's been dealing with. And, that extra time, hopefully you would imagine, I'm looking on the positive side here because we haven't been able to talk about a lot of optimistic things, but imagine if Tommy was able to fully get back to that 100% like we saw him against Alabama and earlier on in those first couple of games, man, what that could do to that offense and how much more explosive that could be. It seems like the Vegas odds think that is going to be the case, that they're going to see a fully healthy Tommy Castellanos. They have Florida State set at a total points of 30.5. They expect this team to score 31 this upcoming weekend. They're seeing or hearing something, but I would imagine that would mean Tommy's full go and could be fully healthy, because that just expands that playbook a lot more for Gus Malzahn, which was absolutely crushing it on the offensive side of the ball.
It's been huge. I mean, Tommy, he hasn't, and I mean the rest of his team too. They haven't had any time off really these last 5 weeks, and you think about it, you had the 2 wins to start the season over Alabama and then East Texas A&M, and you go into that early bye week. You come out of that against an overmatched opponent against Kent State, and that's when Tommy unfortunately suffers that leg injury, and he just hasn't been the same since. And 6 days later, you're on the road at Virginia, and I mean they've just been playing physical football ever since then. So I do think having 2 full weeks really to rest his leg and recover from the potential concussion that he suffered against Stanford. I mean, that's going to be huge for him to get back to as close to 100% as you can this late in the football season. And, everything that he can do with his legs, it really opens things up for this Florida State offense. And he hasn't looked exactly 100% comfortable on the ground over the last 4 or 5 games. And, a lot of that's got to do with the injuries. So hopefully this time off will help him get back in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and too, I mean, we've seen that actually this week, last 2 weeks with Baker Mayfield. He's been dealing with the lower body injury, also to an oblique injury as well, and things have been off with him on air with some of his balls. And like Eddie's saying here, Tommy has missed so many open wide receivers other than Deuce. Keep an eye on this, and some of those things. Not saying not trying to give him as many excuses, but injuries play a big part, not only on the run, but also too in the way that you're throwing with your plant foot and all that kind of stuff. So just a fully healthy Tommy is what you should put out there as QB1 and a conference game against Wake Forest. Now,
and it's not like the skill players, but it's not like the skill players have really helped Tommy out. I mean, you've got Deuce Robinson and Mekhi Danzy that have stepped up, but Randy Pittman's been really banged up. Obviously, Landon Thomas has had his injuries and has been a disappointment in the tight end room. And you haven't really got a ton out of those guys in the wide receiver room. I mean, Squirrel White was supposed to be a proven weapon for you, and outside of a 40-yard catch against Alabama, he's been missing in action now for, about 2 months. And Loane McCoy had a pretty good outing against Miami, but then quiet again these last 2 games. So, I think it's not black or white, it's gray.
That should be the thumbnail. That'll be the thumbnail at the end of the season. All right, let's keep on moving here, gentlemen. I wanted to bring this up to you guys. I'm sure you saw it on Twitter today. Just some ruffles, nothing of a – I don't think there's a full-on credible source here on this, but words are getting out about James Franklin and another ACC team, Virginia Tech. Potential home for James Franklin. Things might be moving fast for him. The former Penn State head coach couldn't win the big ones, but man, he built Penn State back and did a very well job on the recruiting trail and knows how to find talent, but he could be headed to the ACC. I want to ask you guys, though, is FSU going to have some big-time regrets waiting on not making a move with Mike Norvell and a new head coach because they lose out on opportunities like some candidates like a James Franklin and, a handful of others because, man, Beasley, we talked about it. Talked to Dustin. Me and Dustin talked about it on Monday about LSU and, Brian Kelly, them moving on there. So that's another big-time program that is looking for a new head coach. Is FSU going to have some regrets here, gentlemen?
It's a little bit of both. Honestly, yes, I think everyone can agree that Norvell isn't the correct coach. But are you going to want to pay $100 million to hire someone that still there's no great coaching candidates? There's really not. The demand is super, super high for coaches right now between LSU, Penn State, Florida, Arkansas, probably Auburn. Virginia Tech they're not a major power, but they're in a power conference. They're in the ACC. They've still got some leverage. UCLA is open. There's a lot of jobs that are open, and there's just not a lot of great coaching candidates. And I will say, when James Franklin first was fired, Virginia Tech's the perfect landing spot for him because no school in the country would be happier to go 9-3 every year than Virginia Tech. That's just what they want. That's what Franklin does. People may say, well, why doesn't Florida State make that move and steal him away from Virginia Tech? If some of these other schools don't want James Franklin, what is that really saying about him? With all these big jobs open, why would Florida State put their hat in the ring as well with LSU, Florida, and all these other schools? It's kind of a little bit of both. Obviously, unless Florida State just goes on a tear the rest of the season, you're sitting with a lame duck head coach going into next season, no matter what. But as part of those, would you rather save yourself that 10 to 12 million, or do you make that move now and potentially cost yourself even more?
Yeah. Well said. It's a 2-part situation. It seems like Florida State, they're trying to take that patient approach. And whereas, some of these other schools have decided to go ahead and get ahead of things. And you look at LSU, a team that's going to have to pay a similar buyout to Brian Kelly of what Florida State would owe Mike Norvell if they did fire him. They decided to just rip off that Band-Aid and go for it. And obviously, LSU is a premium job and arguably the top available position on the market now.
Not arguably. That is a top 3 job in college football, arguably.
They're gonna be a lot of suitors there for that position. But I agree with also what you said, Austin. How many coaching candidates are out there? How realistic are they for Florida State anyway, with the amount of jobs open? And Lane Kiffin's name is getting tossed around a lot for some of these openings. And if he does leave, that means Ole Miss is now open. So there's a lot of things in flux at the moment. And I think the money factor, is very big for Florida State with everything that they poured into this program in recent years. Hundreds of millions of dollars on the stadium and the football-only facility. A lot of money has been put into this program.
A lot of it. It's all across the board.
It's not monopoly money. Doesn't just keep appearing out of nowhere.
No, it ain't Spanx money either. We haven't found that Spanx lady yet. We don't know where she's at. I think she's on those islands, man. I'm going to run in. I got to find her. Would y'all like James Franklin at FSU? What are y'all's thoughts on him? Just as him as a whole, I know you could look at other potential candidates out there, but if you were going to just specifically look at James Franklin's, your pros and then your cons, how would you go about that with him?
I've kind of talked myself into it a little bit more over the last 2 weeks, just because of what you both have said. I mean, he's a guy who has proven his ability to build a program, and at the baseline, I think he'd be able to establish a pretty solid standard at Florida State, and he would have a lot more recruiting resources and a footprint to work with in the state of Florida compared to Pennsylvania. And even when he was at Penn State, I mean, they were a program that traditionally recruited the state of Florida pretty well and pulled some good guys out of the Sunshine State. So I think you put him here at Florida State with those connections, maybe he could do a little bit better in Tallahassee. So I'm kind of talking myself into it a little bit.
That's kind of how I am too. I'm not a James Franklin fan. Like even when people were talking about it 5 or 6 years ago, wasn't a fan. But it's one of those, like, he's better than what we've currently got, and he's better than a lot of the options that are realistic for Florida State. Again, I'm not a fan of his at all, really. I think Florida State could potentially do better. I don't think Franklin's a championship coach, and that's what the standard is at Florida State, is someone who can win a championship. I don't think he can win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
But like Dustin said, he can stabilize a program for sure.
And I think there's potentially a discount there, with all the money that he's owed from Penn State. Florida State's going to be shelling out a ton of money to Mike Norvell and his staff if they do make that move. Maybe you can bring James Franklin in at a reduced price to begin his time in Tallahassee, and then that salary grows over time. But, something to think about for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's looking for revenge. I don't know. Everybody was watching the College Game Day interview that he had.
No.
He's ready to go he's trying to go build a national championship team elsewhere. And, that was just some chatter earlier today about Virginia Tech. We'll see how that goes there. But, back to the topic, is Florida State going to have some regrets? We'll see. We'll see, because they're going to put themselves into a situation, to me, with the statement that was made, and just over the last couple of weeks of just being able to think about that statement from Michael Alford, it now is leaning towards, yes, you'll likely see Mike Norvell in 2026, unless Florida State just continues to lose every game here on out throughout the rest of the season, which very well could happen after what we saw on against Stanford on the West Coast. And then, we're hearing some things from practices this week, which is what we've always heard, though. You can't really take too much away from it. Dilo, I believe you were there. The energy's back. Energy's good. I think we heard from Omar Graham Jr. today, Florida State's veteran linebacker. Energy switched. It's flicked. It's a whole 180 from, maybe that Stanford game. And it seems like the practices have gone very well, but we've heard that. It kind of goes through one ear and out the other until you see it on a Saturday, and which we'll see it on under the lights in Doak Campbell Stadium this upcoming Saturday. Doesn't matter until you see it.
Yeah. Show me. Don't tell me.
Yeah. How about Brian Kelly, man? What could his accent be? Stan Hayes says here on Facebook. I don't know what a Tallahassee accent.
I will say
it would be me. It's what I have.
Nothing has made me laugh harder than the Brian Kelly tweets this week, between the old surfer video about him interviewing at UCLA and some of these other ones. Top tier tweeting this week about Brian Kelly. I'm a big fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of people that were in his program exposing him on some things and how they were treated inside the program doesn't shock anybody.
No,
I don't
not
think.
at all.
He's not a very much liked head coach, but yeah, you can give me a massive pass. Of course, I know Stan's just playing around, but I couldn't have Brian Kelly come in. I couldn't imagine working with Brian Kelly too.
I would rather have Mike for another 20 years than have Brian Kelly for one.
If I quit.
Yeah,
I'm not going.
Yeah, and you know what too? I know a lot of us, and I think we'll have some shows definitely at the beginning of the off season where we talk about coaching candidates potentially. I don't know. Like I was just alluding to just a minute ago.
It could be before then.
Who knows? We're ready to rock.
I think it could be as soon as Sunday. I mean, we'll see.
Uh-oh. Delu's got the drafts going. NoleGameday.com. Make sure you have it bookmarked. But, not only that, you're always looking for head coaching candidates and such. And there's someone asking in here, maybe look at some of the top assistants across the country. That's something that we'll certainly do and discuss. It's but kind of going back to Visa, you're looking for someone that can bring you a national championship. Now, did Mike Norvell have that previously at Memphis? Yes, he won a conference championship. Did he win a national championship? No. there's not a lot out there that you can go and grab that are out there. And I know I saw some latest odds of, Jimbo Fisher to LSU. It's and then of course there's always been chatter about, Jimbo Fisher and the reunion to Florida State. He's won you a national championship, but a lot of things have changed since then. It's when we get into those episodes, and like D-Lou said, it could be happening a lot sooner rather than later. Then we'll have to do a lot of digging into what we think is probably the best opportunity for Florida State to get to that standard of where you're fighting for a national championship every year. Right now, you are fighting for just one ACC win. It's hard to fathom that statement that I just said. It's really hard to fathom.
No, the standard has dissipated at the moment for Florida State. And, you had those 2 successful seasons under Mike Norvell in 2022 and 2023. But outside of that, I mean, since 2018 for Florida State, those are the only 2 winning seasons for the program. So, I mean, as much as we can talk about a championship as the standard, I think, every year you're getting further and further away from that 2013 BCS national title. And we've seen other programs, make big leaps on the national forefront where it feels like Florida State, they're starting to fade out of the picture. So I think right now, if they do make this move, it's very important to get this next hire right. And that's just saying the very least of it. But, with the money that you paid out to Willie Taggart, and now you're going to pay triple that to Mike Norvell and his staff, you've given a lot to fired and potentially fired head coaches at Florida State. So the next move has got to be the right one. It's got to be someone that can come in and really stabilize this thing. And even if it's a guy like James Franklin, who maybe can't win a national title, and I'm not saying he can't, but Veazey did.
I am.
Maybe if he can't win a national title, he can at least come in and stabilize the situation where, it's more solid footing for Florida State. You're not going from 10 wins, 13 wins, 2 wins, 3 and counting so far in 2025.
Counting is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
You're on a more consistent track.
Yeah, the inconsistencies, man, is an incredible. What you never thought could be a possibility at Florida State. We're younger and such, and covering this team, but the standard is a standard. Like, I never thought in my lifetime that this could be a possibility where Florida State can only win 2 games in football. And we're talking football in Doak Campbell Stadium. That's insanity. That's insanity. I thought maybe someone had given me an edible. I would think that, but no. Here we are again. We're on to another season of an absolute catastrophe, and it shouldn't be possible. It should not be possible whatsoever. Let's get a shout out here on YouTube from I'm Not Sure. Coming in here, he says, just coming in to say 2 words and I'm out. Deion Sanders, peace. Go Noles.
The same record as Florida State right now.
That's 5 words.
Yeah.
And Deion's misspelled, and so is peace.
I was about to say,
yeah. Deion's not spelled right. Got to fix that. Number 2, did anybody catch out the late Saturday night game between Utah and Colorado?
Didn't they have like negative 18 yards at halftime?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that whatever that was in La La Land that a lot of people were in, that's long gone.
Life after Travis Hunter is hitting Deion pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Sure it's not life after Shador?
Yeah, I guess both.
Yeah. No.
Shiloh?
I'm the idiot that did plus like 28.5 for Colorado to stay in that game. I had to watch that game. Anyways, let's talk about Dexter Jackson, a former FSU legend and Super Bowl champion, voicing his strong opinion on Florida State. Here's what he had to say about Mike Norvell. He said, I think Coach Mike Norvell needs to win the rest of the games this year. He needs to win out and win a bowl game because looking around college football recently, a lot of coaches are getting fired. Norvell really needs to steady the ship as he's on very thin ice. He also says Norvell has not been successful so far at Florida State. Very strong quote there. He has not been winning over and over again. He's lost his last 9 games in the ACC. I don't care what conference you're in. You can't lose 9 straight conference games. You just can't. Shout out to Dexter Jackson, man. Norvell has not been successful so far at Florida State. can't really argue too much of that if the standard is to reach a national championship, get to the college football playoff. We understand the snub is what it is. That sucked.
Close.
You're right there. Had the opportunity. Had to get Nick Saban in there for his last year just to get pumped in the college football playoff. But some strong quotes here from some former FSU players. That's kind of been the theme, though. I know you guys are all on social media. You guys see it. There's been some chatter. I know Robert Cooper, he's got a podcast that he does with Kalen DeLoach. They've been voicing their opinions. Jordan Travis also, too, now has been pretty stern and pretty disappointed on the piss-poor play from this team. Alumni, I haven't heard from Dexter Jackson in a while, but you're starting to hear from some that are not so happy with what Mike Norvell and the staff are doing every Saturday at this point.
No, I mean, all of the legends of old, I mean, they're used to Florida State being successful. These last 8-9 years, they're really unprecedented territory for this program, at least since before Bobby Bowden had arrived in Tallahassee. It's something that I think a lot of Florida State fans haven't experienced before, especially the younger members of the fan base. So, yeah, I mean, it's something completely new, and it's not a surprise. His comments, that is, Norvell, you've had the 2 10-plus win seasons, you've won an ACC championship, but outside of that, there just hasn't really been any consistent success at Florida State. And, I know 2020 and 2021, Florida State was a little bit behind the 8 ball because of COVID-19 and everything that they had to do with Willie Taggart to then bring in Mike Norvell. But it's year 6 at this point, and last year was year 5. So it just gets harder and harder to justify.
Mm-hmm. Looking up some stats there, VZ?
No, I mean, he's
probably watching basketball.
Yeah,
I wish.
Probably
I don't.
Probably like seeing what Luke Laux is doing, if he's awake or if he's coaching. What's going on?
I mean, I wish I was watching Florida State basketball, but Dexter Jackson's not wrong. It's the same thing we've been talking about for a year and a half. What else can we add? It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
Yeah, former Noles, not happy whatsoever, and as it should be. Tell you what I'm not happy about, though, is something happening, something breaking behind the scenes. I have my do not disturb on, but did someone get let go? Everybody's checking their phones. Okay.
I'm watching the Celtics game.
Shocking.
Unbelievable. Wow. Let me get someone's got to do it on here. Let's go and get sleeper picks on here. Shout out to our friends at Sleeper. We got to make some picks and get back in the win column. We are not listening to VZ on any kind of wide receivers moving forward, on yards. Completely chalked us on Jordan Addison. Awful game from him.
Was it an awful game from him, or was it an awful game from Carson Wentz? Let's be realistic.
Wow, we should have connected both of those together there.
Yeah.
We should have known Carson Wentz was going to be that. What's Derrick Henry's rushing yards here? Got to get some picks. We got to get some picks better here. We got to get in the win column. 87.5. Hold on here. We shave that down to.
Can we just do less?
We could.
He hasn't been that good this year, unless I've missed something.
Yeah, Miami played well in their last game. We know that. Can we go even up? No, we can't go to a high-low. Here's all of Derrick Henry's right here. Rush attempt, 17.5. They have more on that. A lot of inconsistencies from Derrick Henry over here, gentlemen.
I would say less. I know they're playing Miami, but
I don't even know if I want to. I don't even know if I want anything on Derrick Henry.
And Derrick might be chalked. Lamar Jackson, first game back. This one's tricky. Where they have him on passing, 238.5. Woo!
First game.
Yeah. Let me shave that to 200 then. Could shave it back. I doubt he's going to be doing a whole ton of running because that was his hamstring he was dealing with. I think he is fully healthy. I think he potentially could have played this last weekend, but did not. I think it's hot right now, too.
You would know. I mean, you're a big Ravens fan.
Yeah. The Ratbirds, absolutely not. I do have to keep an eye on them, though, week to week. They're in my division. Whose receiving yards, though, is attractive? If he's going to throw for 200, then we got to go with someone in the receiving room. Then Shot Bateman now. DeAndre Hopkins. They trimmed down Zay Flowers to 59.5. Could we 40?
Seems like a lot.
Maybe trim it down to 50 then. 50's hot too. No one's dodged, just me on this show tonight. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just go and make these picks. Hi, what's hot?
How about A-Chain?
He's been good this year. He's been consistent for them. Maybe shave him down.
He's like one of the only things they got on that team.
Yeah, it's tough.
One of the only weapons.
Yeah, I think
and sometimes Waddle will catch a pass. That's about it.
Sometimes.
Well, he's on my fantasy team, so I'm very familiar.
That Baltimore defense has not played that good this year either, and they have not played to the caliber that they usually
There's
do.
no way you're putting American dollars on Tua Tagovailoa.
American. This is
There's
American.
no way.
This is American. I'm just seeing what we got here. They're juicing up that. It's for a certain reason, though.
Because he ain't good.
They're throwing him down to one, dude. A lot of people are putting him down to 150 plus. It's the hottest one right there. What does that do to us? That puts us at 2.18 times. Come on, he's got to get 150.
This is when he gets his 12th concussion.
We're at desperate measures right now. We're at desperate measures. What's our promo? Nope, college football. I don't think they had it at FSU. They might have had a Wake Forest one. It's all right.
They didn't. I looked.
Okay. Here we are. Our sleeper pick. We have Tua to throw 150 plus passing yards. Zay Flowers more on the 50 plus receiving yards. Lamar Jackson and the more of 200 plus passing. And then A-Chain with 50 plus more in the rushing department. Shout out to Sleeper for partnering with us this football season. Use promo code Noles. Down below, you can see it. Get a 100% match up to $100. Use code Noles down below on your first deposit, and you get a $100 match up to $100. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. God, we need to get back in the win column, so hopefully that happens for us. Fingers crossed. But
don't sleep on them.
Get in the win column is Florida State. Florida State. Nah, don't sleep on the sleeper picks. Well, right now a lot of people are sleeping until we actually win one. But going over to Wake Forest, who is 5-2 on the season, 2-2 in the conference. Florida State 0-4 in ACC play. This kickoff is at 7:30 on ESPN. Florida State is now favored.
On
it's
the
gone
ACC
up a little bit
network.
more.
It is not on ESPN.
No.
ACC network.
Damn.
Do your homework. Damn.
Dude, Google chalked me. Should have known. AI's taking over.
Well, ACC network is technically owned by ESPN.
Doesn't matter.
They got to stop doing that thing where it shows on there it's by ESPN. Yippee doo dah. Well, now everybody's going to be so excited to watch on ACC network. Get ready not to see multiple passes be thrown. Probably come back from commercial break after watching the same commercial 25 times and it being second down and 5. So can't wait. ACC network rocks. Anyways, Florida State, though, is now favored up another point since it first opened, up to 9.5. The over-under is set at 50.5. And like I had mentioned earlier, they're expecting Florida State to score 31 points and Wake Forest 20. Early thoughts going into this game, gentlemen. What are we thinking here?
Florida State, got to respond. I mean, got to come out of the bye week with.
Stop saying.
All right, Mike.
Got to come out of the bye week with. I mean,
people are
some real fire, some real physicality for this football game because I mean, I think it really all hinges here for FSU. You know, if you lose this one, there's no chance of making it to bowl eligibility. And then on the flip side, I mean, Wake Forest is playing good football at the moment. 3-game winning streak. We talked about it on Monday, Logan, but getting a win over SMU, SMU's first ACC regular season loss since joining the conference. And they've had some quarterback injury issues this season. Robbie Ashford has gotten a little bit banged up, and that's led to Deshaun Purdy getting some action over the last 2 games. He started in the victories against Oregon State and SMU. So, I mean, coming into this game, to me personally, it feels like 2 teams that are on different trajectories at the moment. Obviously, Florida State, the 4-game losing streak and everything has been going wrong. And then Wake Forest, after a 2-2 start, 2-0. Then they had a 2-game losing streak, and now they've won 3 straight. Seems like they're finding their footing under first-year head coach Jake Dickert, and we'll see if Florida State can knock them off a little bit on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm saying is the money line for Wake Forest is about plus 300. If enough people bet on it, we might be able to get Mike out of here sooner.
Jeez.
I've got no confidence. I've just got none. You lose to Stanford. Why am I supposed to have confidence? I don't care that you're coming out of bye week. I don't care that people are supposed to be healthier. Wake is consistently punching above their weight class, even with a new head coach now. Do you know what their projected win total was coming into the season? Just real quick.
Nope.
It's 4.5. They've got 5 already. Like they're already playing way better than they're supposed to, and they've done this even going back to when Dave Clawson was there. He suddenly steps down in December, and they're still good. Like that, they're punching above their weight class. Florida State hasn't punched above their weight class in 2 years. Why am I supposed to be confident?
Yeah, this team will be better than Stanford, just like Eddie's putting here. Dustin and I talked about it on the Monday episode. That Florida State can't go into this game thinking this is just a lesser opponent than them. They are the lesser opponent. They are.
Well, they can't go into any game thinking that.
Not at all. No, they should never think that way under Mike Norvell. Honestly, you should never think that way going into a game. Anyways, you should always try to fight and play as that underdog. But yeah, not Vegas. Vegas says no, they're going to win by 10. I just don't see that being the case. Maybe put it by a field goal.
I don't think they could beat Leon County High School by 10.
Leon County High School? You mean like Leon? Just Leon High School?
Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean.
County.
All of the Leon County high schools.
Just do an all-star game. Leon County's best high school players against Florida State. Florida State doesn't win by 10.
You're like the NFL fan that says Ohio State would beat the Cleveland Browns.
I know, I'm joking. It'd be at least 20.
Well, I think the thing to monitor to me is seeing what kind of fight the team has. We saw some stuff on the sideline with Mike, and you could see it on the play as well. Some guys seemed like they were checked out, not playing with discipline. Is that going to be the same case again after some things that we heard of practices the last couple of weeks? Guys being energized. Like, that's the thing. Like, I feel like
I don't care.
These practices that we have not been able to attend, man, they must be phenomenal.
They're winning a national championship in every practice.
I want to be at these practices just to feel the energy that they're having. Like, it's got to be awesome. It's got to be like going to one of your favorite concerts, like Visa. You go to 20 concerts a year. It's like probably got to have that kind of vibe when you go.
Not this year.
Into that IPF. No, damn.
Yeah. I'm behind my quota this year. I'll make it up next year.
Yeah, you'll make it up 2026. But yeah, I mean, there are these guys going to play hard for Mike. And I'm worried that, that could be an issue moving forward, certainly from what we saw on Stanford. And I even Mike brought it up too, but the whole excuse of being on the West Coast and that playing a big issue and such, that's such BS. I hate that. It makes FSU sound sad. You should be able to be half asleep and beat the shit out of Stanford.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're not wrong.
I mean, he should not even commented on anything I think he even brought it up though. Like, you don't do that, brother.
Between that and the old hydration one against Boise State, just some excuses need to stay in the bag.
Yeah, those ones just you're just
at least that was
what?
Willie.
It'd be like
wait, you said that one was what?
I said at least that was Willie.
Oh yeah, okay.
No, we've had some incredible quotes from some not so incredible coaches, but I just hated hearing that. I don't want to hear anybody. I just Lord,
Something to
my-
watch, though. I mean, all the focus
is.
penalties against Stanford, and it really felt like the team started to quit in that game. Then you see the stuff surfacing about players joking in the locker room, and then, obviously the increased pressure now on Mike Norvell, so much so that the AD had to release a statement saying that they're going to have a comprehensive evaluation at the end of the season. And
A statement that also should have been kept in the bag.
yeah, but the players are hearing all this, the coaches, everyone within the program, they're seeing the chatter, they're hearing the outside noise, even though, they say that they're not. There's a lot of pressure on this program, and they got to rise up and perform on Saturday night. I feel it's the definition of insanity at this point, but we'll see if they can do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see if they can. It's time to do some score predictions here. It's time to do some score predictions. You want to hear what Wake Forest's biggest wins are: Kennesaw State, Western Carolina, Virginia Tech, Oregon State, and SMU. Now, SMU was a big one, but man, that was an ugly game.
And
Those games played 13-12.
If we're being realistic, they absolutely should have won that Georgia Tech game. They got hosed by the officials at the end of that game. Like that's as brutal of an officiating game as I've seen. And we just watched the FSU Stanford game 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like you said, losses to Georgia Tech and then NC State as well. Florida State will go on the road on a Friday night to go face the NC State Wolfpack. I don't know who's up next. I think I went first the last time around, I do believe.
But I guess it's easy.
Yeah, that's me. I don't have anything to say other than that I've got absolutely no confidence. I am happy that I made plans ahead of time, like a month ago for this day, thinking, oh, this might be like a noon or 3:30 game. I don't have to watch. That's even better.
You just have to watch you just got to watch the replay after the highlights.
Yeah,
all of the highlights. There's gonna be a lot of highlights, VZ. It's gonna be like a 25-minute reel on the ACC YouTube channel. Go check that out.
The condensed game is going to be 7.5 minutes. I have Wake Forest winning 27-23. I think that defense is really good. Their defense has played really, really well this year. I know they haven't really played that many high caliber offenses, if any, but that defense is playing lights out. And when you can hold SMU to 12 points, I have to believe you can hold Florida State to below 24. So,
well, okay. There's a loss in the department there from VZ.
Yeah, I had a bunch of numbers written down here, but honestly, I just decided to throw them out the window. I mean, the numbers haven't mattered when we've talked about them in recent weeks. Florida State dominated Stanford in the statistics coming into the game, and I mean, had the edge over Pittsburgh and Wake Forest. It just doesn't really matter. Florida State, they're not playing good football at the moment for one reason or another. This team just hasn't been connected and hasn't been the same, hasn't brought the same level of play ever since that Alabama game. I know they dominated some FCS opponents and a G6 opponent. Who cares? I mean, honestly, ever since ACC play began, it's been a total collapse for Florida State. Even with a bye week, I just feel like the pressure around the program, it's just too much at this point to climb out of yet another hole. And, if things start to go bad early on Saturday night, it could be a really ugly scene in Doak Campbell Stadium. That's something I'm going to be watching along with however many fans show up on Saturday night for a game that is homecoming, is the Seminole Heritage game. Please do not wear turquoise, Florida State. I'm going Wake Forest 38, Florida State 21.
38.
My goodness gracious.
38.
My goodness gracious.
38-21.
My goodness gracious.
For reference, they've scored more than 30 twice this year.
34-21.
Well,
Okay.
It's Tony White's defense, BZ. It's Tony White's defense.
You're right. 38-21. Stamp it.
James Williams is getting a sack this game, y'all. Isn't that going to be...
If they score 38, oh my goodness.
I don't know if people are going to have to be told to leave the stadium before the fourth quarter. I don't...
Yeah, if Wake scores 38, there is going to be hell to pay somewhere.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah. Well, let's see real quick. Y'all two have losses there. If that's an actual loss that happens, is Mike still the head coach on Sunday?
Sadly, I think yes.
Does it depend on the score?
I don't think they'll make any decision until at least December 1st.
Yeah, I kind of agree with BZ. Like, I want to say that it would happen, but with what we've seen recently, I kind of lean towards them staying put.
Like if one of us three was making that decision, yes. But with how it's being treated right now, no, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe if it's bad, like 38-21 bad.
Or if it's like 06 and it's 30-0 again.
Yeah.
That is a point worth noting, because I saw a couple of people bring it up in the comments, but that loss to Wake Forest for Bobby Bowden, I mean, that was how a lot of people knew, the end was coming. And same thing for Willie back in 2019. I mean, you had that ugly loss up there at Wake Forest. And after that, I mean, it seemed like that started to become the plan to move on from him. So we'll see. Third time the charm.
Wake is always the kiss of death. They're called the Demon Deacons for a reason.
Yeah. Yep. Man, y'all making me lean a different way. I don't have a whole ton of confidence in Florida State. I think the bye week is the only thing to give me some kind of help or comfort.
They didn't even win the bye week. We talked all week about how bad the statement was.
I'm talking about health. Just health. Strictly football. Not football. Strictly on the field. With health, guys getting healthier across the board.
And new facility. Come on.
That's right. That new facility.
That's the game changer.
There we go. New football only facility could be the game changer moving forward. The guys had great practices this week. Great practices. New football only facility. That's what we've been waiting for. Jimbo called it a long time ago. All you needed was that football only facility. You're going to see a turnaround like crazy. So maybe that could be it. All they needed was a couple more ice baths. That's all they need. And a barber shop. They're going to have a barber shop. Things are going to be fine. Things are going to turn around really quickly. That's why I got Florida State winning this game. I got Florida State bouncing back. I got Florida State winning 28-27. 28-27 by 1 point. I'm sticking to my 1 point.
Are clinically insane.
I'm an absolute lunatic, and I want to be called. I'm gonna call myself an idiot too when we get on. Well, I guess I get to call myself an idiot on the instant reaction because I'm gonna be the only one. So
I'll be driving home from where I'm at. I'm gonna come
on the podcast. No, you're not
say, Logan, you're an idiot, and then hang up.
I'm not sending you the link. Yeah, you can tell me in the comments. I ain't bringing it up on the screen. I don't know. There's not much more I need to say. This is just a prayer being sent out there, and still, nonetheless, though, that it's still not allowed to be 28-27, and you feel fine about that. I feel like people would be angry about that. Back in the good old days, that was a loss. If you're that close of a margin of winning, you're like, holy shit, what's going on? What's wrong with the program?
I honestly think if Florida State was to win 28-27, they would be more upset than if they were to lose by either of the scores Dustin and I just said.
Oh, it'd be an aggravating score.
Because there's a decent chunk of the fan base that wants Florida State to keep losing just so that Mike is gone, and a 1-point win is going to really aggravate that part of the fan base.
Yeah, it's going to be like an angry Sunday for a lot of FSU fans in the comments and the message boards and Twitter. Oh man, you can't win either way. The way that Florida State, you feel a little bit better is if you win by 3 touchdowns, and that's the way that you secure the win. Things are fine in the fourth quarter. That's how you used to beat Wake Forest. That's how it used to be in the good old days, I guess. But
it's been a while.
Yeah, it sure has. But Wake Forest has put on a pretty decent product this year, and Florida State has not. I don't know. This is all just for hope. There's hope out there, maybe. And that's what I'm going off of, everybody. I think a couple people in here that got some Wake Forest, people leaning on the Wake Forest side. Here's 24-7 Wake Forest. Nathaniel's got 35-21 Wake. And then you start getting into, Florida State loses this game. You're in desperation mode of, trying to make a bowl game as well for a postseason. Wow. Who wants to go? Who wants to go to a bowl game for FSU? I don't know if any fans would go to one, to be honest with you.
You're already in desperation. I mean, 3-4 with 5 games left, 3 of those games being on the road, and Florida State, I mean, they've looked not great obviously, on the road against Stanford and Virginia. Not even close to the same team that we've seen in Doak.
Here's Zeno saying, after a great week of practice, they are ready to respond. 69-17 Wake. 3-9 is going to be so much worse when they keep Norvell and go 4-8 next year.
I was gonna say the only way I go to a bowl game is if it's the one here in Charlotte, and I don't have anything going on that day. Not only do I not have just one thing going on that day. Florida State plays Duke in basketball that day, and the Mavericks play that day, so I would not be at that game.
Okay, Veezy will not be there. I'm pretty sure if there's any other basketball game on TV, he'd rather be there than
Yeah, but I mean, Florida
play.
State, Duke, like, come on, man. Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely, we got to have you there for that one. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll be here solo dolo for an instant reaction. We'll see. I'm going out Friday night for some Halloween stuff. I'm dressing as Cupid, by the way. I thought I'd let you guys know that. I'm gonna dress up as Cupid.
Make sure you get a picture to put on the show.
That will be our cover photo or thumbnail. I should say. Sorry, it will be a thumbnail next week if Florida State loses since he picked us to win.
Yeah, yeah. No, I won't be. I'm not dressing up as Cupid, but it'll be some. I'm attached to Cupid. I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna have like an arrow coming through me. I guess I don't know how that's gonna work. I also know if that's gonna hurt or not. But I'll be here for Saturday night, late night instant reaction after a couple beverages, so it should be pretty fun. Rated R. Make sure no kids are watching, please. But like I said, if FSU wins by 3 scores, we'll have a great time. We'll have a lot to talk about. Some good highlights to watch as well. So appreciate y'all. Enjoy the rest of y'all's week. If you're here on YouTube, smack the like button down below. I appreciate y'all hanging out with us. I know the season and last season, they have not been the greatest, but it's been fun with you guys to chat it up in the chat over to the side. So smack the like button. Also, too, hit that subscribe button. If you are new, we appreciate all of y'all joining us the last couple of weeks. But we'll see you Saturday night after Florida State takes on Wake Forest and the Demon Deacons. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's week. Peace. What bang? Hold on. $5 bomb real quick from Zeno right at the last second. Appreciate y'all during another year of disappointment. Thanks for the content, boys. Hold on. I'm trying to say
commiserating. Come on, man. You got to get that.
Making sure I got that correctly. Had to take a second there.
Stabilitize your knowledge.
Yeah, that's too much.
Put it in the cupboard.
Thank y'all. Have a great rest of y'all's week. Peace.